Previously in Part 1, after 9 years as Princess Consort, I was denied the throne by the man I loved, the Emperor Adrian Shen, in favor of his ruthless childhood sweetheart. But the ultimate betrayal strikes deeper. My young son was murdered in a tragic accident that smells of a palace conspiracy. With nothing left to lose and the mysterious Prince Edward Shen whispering of rebellion and hidden devotion, the once-submissive consort is ready to strike back. Part 2. New people moved into what was once Consort Grace's residence, and all her belongings were cleared out. For the sake of our past friendship, I went to have one last look. The flowers and plants she used to tend were all withered. I chose a pot of jasmine as a keepsake. "My lady, there are dregs of medicine in here." Ivy held the flower pot and picked some dregs from the dirt. Consort Grace was gravely ill toward the end. It wouldn't have been unusual for leftover medicine to be poured into a flower pot. Ivy dug around a bit more and pulled out the jasmine's roots. She gasped, "My lady, the roots are all rotten." I summoned a physician from the Imperial Medical Bureau. As I expected, the dregs were not from any normal medicine. Chloe Ning was behind it all. Perhaps she'd known what Grace had intended and used her death to clear her own name completely. "My lady, don't dwell on it. The wind is strong tonight." "Let's go," me, chattering away. Now I'm all alone. The Empress is due soon, isn't she? Ivy lowered her head and paused for a moment. If her pregnancy was truly announced a month late, she should be due next month. "She cannot be allowed an easy birth," I said, my lips curving into a smile. "The Emperor has few heirs. He should have more children." News of Lady Amelia Lee's pregnancy spread like wildfire. Of course, this child would not threaten Chloe Ning's position, but it did put pressure on her all the same. "I hear the Empress hasn't been sleeping well lately. The wind is strong at night, and she's about to give birth. It's only natural she'd be restless." I looked at Lady Amelia Lee's stomach. She was less than a month pregnant. It must have happened during the autumn hunt. It was completely flat. If not for the physician's diagnosis, you would never imagine a life was growing inside. "She's even been excused from paying daily respects lately," Lady Amelia Lee said, lowering her head and stroking her belly nonchalantly. "Isn't that for the best? The symptoms are strong in early pregnancy. Being excused from paying respects means you can rest well." Lady Amelia Lee pouted. "What does it matter if my symptoms are strong? The Emperor's heart is with the Empress. How can my child ever compare to the legitimate heir?" "You shouldn't say that. Both are the Emperor's children, and right now only you and the Empress are pregnant in the palace. Your child is just as precious," I soothed her. "In the palace, a child is your greatest support. Take good care of yourself. Your good fortune is yet to come." Lady Amelia Lee seemed moved by my words and slowly managed a smile. "Yes, my good fortune is yet to come." Once the small talk was over, and Lady Amelia Lee had departed, I summoned the physician. "How is the Empress's condition? And what about Lady Amelia Lee? Is she drinking her pregnancy tonic every day? The Emperor has few heirs, and these are the only 2 children in the inner palace. If anything happens to either of them, I will not spare you." Yes, I understand." The physician wiped the sweat from his brow and retreated, still trembling. "Physician Zhang is too timid. He's not cut out for important matters." "My lady, what do you mean?" Ivy leaned in closer. "I want to see Edward Shen." The lamps in the Pepper Blossom Palace burned all night again. Once more, Chloe Ning spent a sleepless night. With the Empress's health so poor, she couldn't attend to the Emperor. She knew it would be improper to complain if he sought comfort elsewhere, but she also knew that if it went on for too long, he would eventually tire of her. Chloe Ning knew this well, so she suppressed her temper, and that in turn made her sleep even worse. Chloe Ning had dark circles under her eyes and had grown much thinner. When she saw me, she weakly gestured to a stool. "Sit. Why do you look so haggard? Is the Imperial Medical Bureau good for nothing?" Chloe Ning shot me a sidelong glance. "It's normal to sleep poorly in the later months of pregnancy. There's no need to make a fuss." Calming incense burned in the hall, but even that couldn't grant Chloe Ning a moment's peace. Looking at her pale face filled me with satisfaction, so I moved closer and lowered my voice. "Or could it be you've been having nightmares? Chancellor Ning harmed many loyal officials, yet he remains untouched. I fear the spirits of the dead cannot rest in peace, so they visit you in your dreams. Or perhaps it is custom to hang wind chimes. The sound is indeed pleasant, but most people have forgotten. Wind chimes are for summoning spirits. I walked back to Chloe Ning. My lady, it is best not to hang them, otherwise. I glanced at the floor, as if I could see some monster lurking beneath the white jade tiles. Rest well, the royal baby is what matters. I patted Chloe Ning's hand. She didn't react at all. So ridiculous, he muttered under his breath. What's so ridiculous? I'm far more reliable than my imperial brother. I need to talk to you about something serious. He finally dropped his playful grin. What do you need my help with? I need you to place someone in the Imperial Medical Bureau for me. I don't trust anyone else. Yes, Edward Shen agreed. Then he reached out with his pinky finger to tug at the hem of my sleeve. Well, if I'm doing you a favor, shouldn't I get a little reward? No. Seeing my firm refusal, he grinned and pulled his hand back. All right, you can owe me. I'll collect later. Seeing him like this, my expression softened. I can persuade Adrian Shen to promote your people at court. Good. The man was still smiling. I have a tabby cat at home. It really reminds me of you when it ignores people. How about I bring it for you to keep the next time I enter the palace? I ignored him. Men, give them an inch and they'll take a mile. I wonder why the Empress can't sleep at night. Lady Amelia, no, she should be called Cons of those who died at her hands. Consort Amelia fell silent. She probably thought of Rory, who was harmed by Chloe Ning and was afraid of upsetting me. He didn't dare to finish. He was a respected senior physician at the Imperial Medical Bureau. With him handling Chloe Ning's daily medicine, and with my deliberate efforts to blame her restlessness on the wind chimes, no one had grown suspicious. There's no need to burn the calming incense anymore. Don't worry, this is a legitimate prescription for a healthy pregnancy. Physician John rubbed the herbs between his fingers, his expression filled with alarm. Does it look familiar? The tonic that Consort Grace drank when she was gravely ill was also laced. Physician Zhang, I don't want the Empress's life. I only want to ruin her health and vitality. As for you, regardless of what you may have done in the past, for the sake of your family's safety, I will see to your future after this is over. When you decide to become the villain, you can't afford to be merciful. I knew very well that Physician John could not be allowed to live. I also had Edward Shen to thank for taking control of Physician Zhang's family outside the palace. After many restless nights, Chloe Ning went into premature labor. The birth was, of course, difficult. Her vitality was depleted, her body left weak. She endured a day and a night of difficult labor before finally giving birth to the legitimate heir. Adrian Shen declared it a blessing from the heavens. Although born prematurely, the child was very healthy, even more so than a full-term baby. The sight of their happy family of 3 was blinding. Adrian Shen comforted me. Vivi, we will have a child too. Of course, had launched an imperial expedition, leaving Edward Shen to temporarily manage the affairs of the court. And here I was, weaving a long and intricate conspiracy. Chloe Ning's child had just turned 1 month old. Before leaving for the expedition, Adrian Shen had made a special point to proclaim their son crown prince. From the looks of it, Chloe Ning's position now seemed unshakable. Just as I once was, holding Rory in my arms, thinking my life would continue on, just as smoothly. The Ning family had lost its power, and looking across the inner palace, there seemed to be no one who could collude with the outer court. Edward Shen toyed with a strand of my hair, his gaze full of affection. Vivi, our child will be the crown prince. There is already a crown prince. I heard him give a lazy laugh. Consort Amelia was never pregnant. Her period was just late. My spies tell me every single detail of your life in the palace. His hand moved to my belly. You want a child? And you want to borrow a knife to kill someone. Edward Shen leaned close to my ear, his warm breath making my body go limp. The Empress's family has no power, but the core of the imperial court is now filled with people from the Yun family. Of course, the Empress would never let you have another child so easily. You should thank me, Vivi. Here. He tapped his shoulder. You can always lean on me. The mountain rain had come on suddenly, and it left just as fast. Now there was only a light drizzle. Evergreens stand in the courtyard, their leaves dancing to the brisk rhythm of the rain. Inside, Edward Shen leans by the window with his robe half open, while the cold draft sends me shivering deep into my quilts. I wish this rain would last a few more days. Then you could stay a little longer. Stay a few more days? So a little cat can scamper across the roof beams every night? A cat that scampers across the beams every night must be a greedy one, long-starved and impossible to satisfy. He must have felt the chill, because he closed the bed as my memories began to surface. You were quite a mischievous child, you know. When Edward Shen was a boy, he often visited my family's home. At 11 or 12, his face was still plump with baby fat, and his voice was low and muffled when he spoke. The greatest beauty in the capital truly lives up to her name. He'd tease me, his mouth stuffed with snacks. I think you're much prettier than Chloe Ning. My brother is only biased toward her because they grew up together. If I were a few years older, I wouldn't have let you languish alone in an empty room. You're so young, what do you know? I wasn't much older myself, and I was thin-skinned. Hearing him say such things made me want to swat him. But Edward Shen was a boy, nimble and quick, and I could never catch him. After that, he came around less often. As he grew taller, it was no longer appropriate for him to be wandering through the inner courtyards. Outside, the rain began to fall again, growing heavier, until the sound of it drowned out everything else. Good news arrived from the frontier. Half of the dozen or so cities that had been lost were reclaimed, and morale was soaring. It seemed a triumphant return was only a matter of time. Chloe Ning's health had been poor ever since she gave birth, and even her magnificent robes couldn't hide her sickly complexion. In contrast, Consort Amelia was looking much healthier. For the sake of the child in her belly, she had abandoned her usual frail, willow-like appearance and was much fuller-figured than when she first entered the palace. Chloe Ning looked dreadful. Back in the prince's manor, Adrian Shen had concubines, but dynasty's longevity. We all knew that even though the position of crown prince was settled, the road ahead was still long. People always change. Take me, for example. The old me would never have plotted like this, and the old Chloe Ning would never have deigned to use such methods to harm a young child. I stroked my belly, studying Chloe Ning's face. The imperial physicians reported this morning that the imperial noble consort is also with child, she announced, her voice laced with false cheer. This is truly wonderful news. I have already instructed the Imperial Medical Bureau to pay close attention to your diet and daily needs to ensure a safe delivery. I simply nodded slightly, wearing the gentle smile of a mother lost in joyous anticipation. Thank you, Your Majesty the Empress. After that, the Imperial Medical Bureau began sending medicine to strengthen the womb every day. I was still haunted by what happened to Consort Grace, and despite having my own people in the bureau, I didn't dare drink the medicine carelessly. Besides, my prescription was slightly different from Consort Amelia's. While it was meant to protect the fetus, it was also known to cause internal heat and agitation. Chloe Ning was determined to make me suffer. More good news came from the frontier. As the armies were rewarded, the inner palace shared in the good fortune. Chloe Ning bestowed treasures upon the 6 palaces, and everyone received a few precious items. My gift was a rather unusual one, a pillow. It was a soft pillow, small and delightful, embroidered with gold need to speed things up. A pregnancy doesn't begin to show until 4 months. Perhaps because Consort Amelia had gained weight recently, she had a bit more flesh on her belly, which from a distance did create the illusion of pregnancy. By the time Adrian Shen returned, it was nearly spring. Chloe Ning and I stood on the city wall, watching the man on horseback approach. Dressed in military attire, his features sharp and clear, he suddenly looked just as he had more than 10 years ago. Back then, I was young, and my heart and eyes were filled with nothing but him. Looking at him now, I felt it wasn't worth it. What kind of love potion must I have drunk to have been so devoted to him? Someone waved at me. It was Edward Shen. I no longer cared so much about love, but seeing him still sent a sharp pang through my heart. I turned my face away, unable to watch any longer. Edward Shen looked a little disappointed. When I glanced back, he was gone. Chloe Ning said, "You and Prince Xiaoyao seem to have a good relationship." I didn't try to deny it. My family is not prominent, It's just that my nephew has earned the prince's favor, and we became better acquainted after he saved my life. Be careful not to let people make an issue of it. If someone is determined to cause trouble, how can I possibly prevent it? She said no more to me. I thought of the girl beside Edward Shen and felt that I could never compare to such beauty. When I came back to my senses, Adrian Shen was already in my chambers. The winds at the frontier had been harsh, and his skin was a little darker. The Empress wrote to me and said you were with child. He held me in his arms. I'm so happy, Vivi. I told you we would have another child. Yes, my lord, this must be Rory, unwilling to leave me, coming back to find his mother. This time, Adrian Shen had brought back a foreign woman from his retreat. Her husband was conscripted, leaving her alone. Perhaps taking pity on her, Adrian Shen often went to look after her, and one thing led to another. You must be tired, I said, offering him a graceful exit. I'm sure you have a mountain of memorials to attend to. My nephew, Ethan Yun, has yet to take a wife or a concubine, I continued casually. And I hear there is a foreign woman in the pleasure quarter in the city. That's a good idea. He gave me that grateful look again, the one he always gave me whenever I was sensible and obedient, whenever I solved his problems for him. Did this man truly think I was never hurt? It was just that now. Now, it was true. I no longer felt any pain. The Yun family was on good terms with Prince Xiaoyao, and with Ethan Yun having reached the second rank, we had become a family that powerful court officials sought to curry favor with. My patience had paid off, securing a bright future for the Yun family. Consort Amelia hated the foreign woman. So did Chloe Ning. The old Chloe Ning, willful and prone to drama, would have already turned the Pepper Blossom Palace upside down. But now, the Ning family had fallen, and she was the crown prince's mother. Her every word and action had to be proper. She had finally learned to lower her gaze, to wear the same expression as I did, while allowing Adrian Shen to do things that hurt her. Because of this, the charm in her eyes had faded, replaced by layers upon layers of resentment. She had become a living, breathing, repressed contradiction. She said, I'm not even as free as Consort Amelia. Consort Amelia could still smash a few vases. She couldn't. Such behavior would frighten the young crown prince. I just sipped my tea and offered her some comfort. We all go through it. Step by step, through jealousy, resentment, and bitterness, one's heart is polished until it becomes as still as water, utterly indifferent. Everything I had once endured, Chloe Ning was now experiencing herself. And then, Consort Amelia had a miscarriage, losing the child she carried in her womb. Even though I knew there had never been anything there to begin with, I still had to put on a show of grief. Everyone was crying. Of Adrian Shen's 4 children, one had died young, and another was lost before it could be born. It was enough to make him despair. Investigate. The soft pillow was quickly discovered. Chloe Ning could barely stand. As for Consort Amelia, she used her last ounce of strength to throw the pillow away from her. The pain made her face pale, and the loss of her child left her devastated. Imperial noble consort, this pillow was originally a gift for you. For you. Adrian Shen's eyes widened. From his absolute certainty and fury, I confirmed one thing. He knew that Chloe Ning had harmed Rory. But he had chosen to protect her, his childhood sweetheart, the person he held most important in his heart. That was why he kept telling me we would have other children, and that was why he was so certain this pillow was Chloe Ning's doing, convinced that she had tried to harm me again. Guards, take the Empress away. She is not to take a single step out of the Pepper Blossom Palace without my command. Your Majesty, I was framed. I didn't do it. Chloe Ning wailed, having lost all of an empress's dignity. Adrian Shen didn't believe her denials. He tragedy unfold and gloating over it all. Finally, her expression delivered a silent verdict. But if I felt any triumph, I didn't show it. Chloe Ning was confined to the Pepper Blossom Palace, but not formally sentenced. Consort Amelia was seething with hatred. Adrian Shen comforted her, but turned a deaf ear to anything else. He would ask me, Vivi, what should I do? Strip her of her rank and send her to the cold palace. Adrian Shen looked troubled. Staring at my almost ruthless expression, he seemed unable to understand when the gentlewoman he knew had become so heartless. My lord, this is a capital crime. If you truly cannot bear to part with the Empress, you can't be seen to favor her at a time like this. How would that make Consort Amelia feel? The conditions in the cold palace are poor. The Empress might not survive more than a few years. When that time comes, it wouldn't be unusual to bring in someone who resembles her, to cherish the past. Adrian Shen understood my meaning. It was an expedient measure. Let Chloe Ning stay in the cold palace for a few years, and once the scandal died down, she could return to the palace under a new identity. His guilt towards me deepened. You think so much for Chloe's sake, and yet she... I feigned confusion. What is it? It's nothing, Adrian Shen said, changing the subject. Now that you are with child, you must rest well. He was leaving to go to Amina's quarters. Before he left, he added one more thing. Vivi, I will treat you and your family well. After all I had done, how could I not receive some reward? Edward Shen sent messengers to bring me now my duty to manage the inner palace, and that included caring for the dowager consorts. It was a leisurely afternoon. Dowager Consort Chen was sitting under the trellised flowers in her courtyard, with Edward Shen keeping her company at her side. My body had grown heavy, and I needed Ivy to support me as I walked to keep from becoming breathless. Edward Shen sat in a bamboo chair, directly facing me. His gaze was direct, utterly calm. I stood there, meeting his eyes. We hadn't seen each other for a few months, yet it felt like a lifetime. After a long moment, I heard him say, "Greetings to the imperial noble consort." There was a hint of distance in his voice. Dowager Consort Chen, finally realizing I was there, asked vaguely, "Oh, the imperial noble consort has come? These old bones of mine are so grateful for her care." Dowager Consort Chen was blind, so I did indeed look after her often. She was very fond of me. I sat and chatted with her for a while. During that time, Edward Shen barely glanced at me, not until the Dowager Consort grew tired and wanted to take a nap. I was about to leave when Edward Shen pinned me against the flowers. His movements were gentle, his arm carefully supporting my waist. The soft petals tickled my cheek, and in the air, besides the fragrance of flowers, was Edward Shen's scorching breath. He grabbed my wrist, his expression like a man who had been angry for a long time with no outlet, only letting it stir beneath the surface. "Is it because of Grand Marshal Shu's daughter? Are you angry? Don't be silent. I know you saw us the day he returned. I've been giving her the cold shoulder, but she, my child, will become emperor." Edward Shen's brows rose, his expression full of ambition and confidence. "Let go of me. We're in the palace. What if someone sees? This is the rear courtyard. What are you afraid of?" As soon as he finished speaking, there was a sound from outside. I looked toward it and saw just the corner of a red hem. It was Amina. Only she wore such bold red clothes in the palace. "This is trouble," Edward Shen said, his brow furrowed. I was strangely calm. Not necessarily. As a mother myself, I understood her all too well. My mother came to the palace to see me, bringing my nephew's child with her. This child takes after his mother, born with a head of red hair, and look at these little eyes, darting around, already sizing people up. I took the baby. He was indeed adorable. Amina was standing at the palace gate. After a moment, she turned to leave. I called out to her, "Since you're here, why leave? Come in and sit for a while. You've followed me several times now." She froze at my words, then hurried inside and took the child from my arms, affectionately pressing her cheek against his. She told me her story. She was beautiful, and for that she was subjected to all kinds of abuse. She eventually escaped and was found by her husband. The man was quiet but gentle. Seeing her covered in scars and branded like a slave, he knew what had happened. He took her home, cared for her tenderly, and found ways to cover all the marks on her body. Later they married. He was just too foolish. He should have just abandoned me and saved himself. It turned out Amina's husband had not been conscripted. When Adrian Shen's army passed through, they left no one alive but her. Her husband had been killed by an arrow while protecting her. And once again, because of her beauty, she became a slave. Amina held the child, her tears, and returned the child to me. "You will get everything you desire, imperial noble consort." I knew, after all the bitterness, sweetness was finally on its way. That autumn, I gave birth to a boy. He had my eyes, but his nose and lips were just like Edward Shen's. But Adrian Shen didn't notice the fever for 3 days straight. Though he finally recovered, the illness had sealed his fate. He would remain a babbling child forever, unable to understand the conflicts of the adult world. The baby remained nameless until a letter arrived from Edward Shen. He suggested a name, Jiaorong Shen. He was giving me something to hold on to, a way to commemorate our Rory. "Are your headaches any better?" Adrian Shen replied, his face pale. Just then, Amina arrived with his medicine, as meek and gentle as a fawn. The headaches were always worst in autumn and winter, and during those months, Edward Shen took over managing state affairs. He had matured a great deal. His frame had grown taller and broader. Standing next to him felt almost intimidating. "My mother wants me to marry." "You are of age. It's time you took a wife." I heard him chuckle softly. "I told her I already have someone in my heart." I said nothing, just walked on, stepping on his shadow. We still couldn't hold hands. Adrian Shen's headaches came and went. Better in spring and summer, worse in autumn and winter. After a few years, the constant pain had drained all the life from him. I went to the cold palace to escort Chloe Ning out. Her hair was streaked with white, and she had lost all her former radiance. The road from the cold palace to the inner palace was long. Chloe Ning walked slowly, stopping and starting, as if memories haunted every corner. 5 years in the cold palace was an eternity. A woman as proud as her, forced to endure night after freezing night in that desolate room. As she heard news of Adrian Shen, did she feel regret or hatred when she recalled the vows he had once made to her? How many concubes quietly waited for him to endure his time as a disfavored prince, waited for him to become emperor? I never imagined that by the end of it, the woman I once was would no longer exist. "Do you hate him?" After a long silence, I heard her short, clear reply. "I do." With that, she stood up and started walking again. I called out to her. "Chloe Ning, I'm not as ruthless as you. At least your child is still alive." She turned around and this time she finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm sorry," she choked out. Then, "Thank you." The deposed empress was declared dead in the cold palace. In her place, a new beauty entered the court. The night Chloe Ning was to serve the emperor, she clutched a dagger in her hand. I was the one who did her makeup. As she toyed with the weapon, a seductive red dot accenting the corner of her eye, she looked, for a moment, just like her old self. She asked me, "Will I die, imperial noble consort?" Then she began to giggle, unable to stop. I smoothly took the dagger from her and instructed Ivy to take it away. "Adrian Shen's headaches are severe. He needs your care." "Is that so?" Chloe Ning looked at her reflection in the bronze mirror and sneered. "The pain doesn't seem to stop him from filling his harem." "If he has the strength for that, then he can't be as ill as all that," I said, taking her hand. It was as cold as ice. "You once said you wanted to grow old with Adrian Shen. Does that promise still mean anything to you? If you spill a new identity, if you try to harm Adrian Shen, you won't survive the night. But if you rely on him, you can secure your place in the inner palace. His health is failing. If you still have hatred in your heart, then hold on to it. Serve your revenge slowly." Chloe Ning clapped her hands. "In that case, bring me 2 packets of an aphrodisiac. I will serve the emperor well. After all, I still intend to grow old with him." Aphrodisiacs were the last thing Adrian Shen should take. His body was already hollowed out by illness, and with Amina's attentive care. When I arrived at the bedchamber with the physician, Chloe Ning was gently helping Adrian Shen drink some water, the very picture of tender affection. The corners of her mouth were turned up in a smile. She didn't look anxious, only chillingly composed. A stroke, on top of his chronic headaches, left Adrian Shen bedridden for the better part of half a year. Chloe Ning took over Amina's duties, tending to him daily. I sat by Adrian Shen's bed, holding a brush and paper. "I have discussed it with the court ministers," I said carefully, "and we feel it is time to formally name a crown prince. If you agree, I will have the Ministry of Rights draft the edict to name Jiaorong as crown prince." "Fine. Also, Jiaorong is still young, so for now I will have to act as regent. But that is not enough. You are unwell, and some may not respect me because I am a woman. Why not make Prince Edward a regent as well? That should keep the ministers in line." Adrian Shen managed another week, fine. Chloe Ning leaned close to his face, her red lips curving into a smile. "Did you miss me?" Adrian Shen tried to turn away but couldn't. Chloe Ning held his head firmly, not letting him move. That night, I took a small sedan chair out of the palace through a side gate. Someone was waiting for me, leaning against the moonlight on his face, as flawless as white jade. He suddenly looked up and smiled at me. When Jiaorong grows up and becomes emperor, I'll humble myself and enter the palace to be your male consort. I couldn't help but laugh. Wouldn't that make me a shameless old woman? So old and still so bold? He watched me quietly. I reached out my hand and we walked inside, step by step. The moonlight was as white as snow, promising we would see our hair turn white together.